Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and another look at our anti-bullying theme. All that and more coming up on Joy in the City True Stories. Joy in the City is a program highlighting people and organizations having an impact in our city. All too often, we hear about the problems and dysfunction in our culture. But we are coming with a different approach as we take a look at all the good things going on right here in our community. I'm Bethany Marshall, and you are about to see what God is doing in our city. We want to thank our program sponsors, Park Home, for the donation of furniture used in our studio, Taylor Design and Events for beautifully decorating our studio space, and our platinum sponsor, Harry's Construction, for their ongoing support of Joy in the City. Fellowship of Christian Athletes is a community that engages, empowers, and equips coaches and athletes to grow stronger in their personal and spiritual lives. They also make disciples through their example of living out Christian values. We had the opportunity to talk with area directors Matt and Lushko about the work in their region.
Well, thank you, Matt, for joining me for a few moments today. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into what you do.
Yeah, so I've been married for 21 years to my beautiful wife, Amy, and she's really been a blessing to me and a help with the ministry of FCA. When I first started FCA, she really wasn't into the ministry and wasn't something that she wanted me to get into, but over the years she's really grown to love the ministry and is actually on staff with me now. And we also have 3 kids, so I have 2 girls and a boy, so Maddie, Alex, and May. And really just about me, basketball and sports has been a huge part of my life. My whole life I've played basketball through high school and played basketball in college. And really through basketball and sports, God has really developed my relationship with Him and helped me get closer to Him. So it's really a blessing to be able to be in sports ministry.
In 1954, God implanted into the heart of a basketball coach a vision that sports could be used as a vehicle to share the message of Jesus Christ.
This idea was so compelling that it impacted the influencers.
There is a reason for this Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Athletics has a place. Why this thing of Fellowship of Christian Athletes seems to have arisen in the mind of a few men. But not just 2 or 3 gathered together, but millions of people everywhere, dedicated to a common cause. The potential is almost beyond conception. Think of the power of this group through all the nations of the world.
And that influence
Continues today.
Nearly 7 decades later, that vision is a reality.
Ministering to and through the coach.
Once we've engaged coaches and athletes, we're then equipping them, we're serving them.
To ultimately empower them, men and women who are disciples who make disciples.
Influence athletes from the young age all the way up to the pros.
now is such a critical time.
Sport is larger than it ever has been.
I see FCA being more relevant today
Than at any other time in history.
Right at this very moment, our society, we are removing ourselves from the Word of God.
So we produce FCA Bibles, God's Word, put to the coaches and athlete hands.
Our camps continue to grow around the world.
That's where I felt God's presence the most.
Our numbers are growing. More coaches are joining a team.
Doors opening, now serving in over 84 different countries.
Truly fulfilling that vision.
There's more to coaching than just winning medals.
It's really about the impact you have in others' lives.
I didn't get saved at a church. The FCA met me right where I was.
We come to you exactly where you're at.
By first reaching the coach, we have the opportunity then to reach every athlete.
That's my job, raising leaders.
And that's what's so powerful about the FCA.
It's changing the dynamic of ministry.
They go where you are.
The ripple effect you're having on these kids and these coaches.
And they're going to affect the community for generations.
We want to walk through school and people see us and they be like, hey, I know that's a Christian because of the way we act.
If we can change 2 people a day, just imagine how much that will grow.
The impact, it goes full circle.
I do still have that.
It carries generations and generations.
We can reach every coach, every athlete, every community, every country.
To see the world
transformed by Jesus Christ.
Through the influence.
The influence.
The influence.
Coaches and athletes.
FCA.
Fulfilling.
The vision.
So FCA is basically our mission is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with him. And so what we do in FCA is we'll go into a high school, and basically it's just a ministry of presence. So we're looking to reach the coaches and athletes, and we're looking to go basically into their world. We have to essentially earn the right to share Christ with them. We don't want to go into a school and just show up and say, hey, you need Jesus. We want to go in and we want to live with the coaches, and we want to be at their practices with the athletes as well, and just help them in whatever way we can. So FCA is just basically going in there and doing life with them and sharing the gospel with them when the opportunity comes up.
So FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and this is a club of sorts. It's a program that meets at the school, correct?
Yeah, so FCA looks different in different areas. So we have FCA at high schools, we have FCA at colleges, but some of the main things that we do at the high schools, like we said, we have a club and we call it a huddle. And basically it's like a Bible study where the athletes can come together and coaches, and we try to be student-led. If we can get a student to give the message and be the main part of the huddle, the students are going to listen to their peers more than they're going to listen to an adult coming in and giving the message. And some of the other things that we do on campus is we have a character coach, and basically it's like a team chaplain at some of the high schools, and they'll travel with the teams, and they'll be a part of the teams. And we see that a lot in high schools, but we also have that a lot in colleges, where we have a chaplain that'll travel with the sports teams.
And how many schools do you particularly oversee?
Well, for about 10 years, I was overseeing the Lower Highlands, which was basically Cambria, Somerset, Blair, and Bedford counties, and we were in about 27 schools there. So I was overseeing that, and it really has grown a lot over those 10 years. And recently, in the past year, the FCA has asked me to step up and basically oversee all of Western PA. So, and that's a really big area. So we're going from Pittsburgh all the way to State College, up to Erie, and then down to Johnstown. So I think in that area there's about 540 schools, and it is my vision that I believe that God has given me is to see an FCA huddle or some kind of FCA presence in every single one of those schools. Now that's a big vision that God has put on my heart, but I believe He'll provide the resources to do it, and it's going to take a lot of staff, and it's going to just take a lot of volunteers and a lot of help to do that.
Do each school is it a volunteer that a youth pastor or something in the area that kind of oversees it, or how do you determine who is going to oversee the huddle?
Yeah, so ultimately we would love to see a coach or an athlete running the huddle in the school, but we do need a huddle coordinator, so someone who basically is going to come in. If we have a teacher who's a coach that could run the huddle, it just depends on the school. We do have youth pastors who will volunteer and go in and lead the huddle, and it's a great opportunity for the church to get into the school. We basically call ourselves a foot in the door ministry, so we open up opportunities for churches to get into schools. And like you said, it's a great opportunity for a youth pastor to be a part of it, but ultimately we want the student to lead the huddle.
Can you tell me of any, without names, any coaches or student athletes that have been impacted because of FCA, something that you have seen?
Yeah, so just recently, one thing that's very close to my heart is we've seen, just something that I've seen in culture, and you might not think that it's sports related, but just have seen a lot of marriages being impacted. I really think that Satan's attacking the institution of marriage. And I've had a coach. I was the character coach at a local school for a few years, and basically just showing up every day and just asking coaches how I can pray for them. And same thing with the students. But I would go to the school. I was at the school for like 4 years, and seeing a little bit of impact, but not really. Not the impact that you would like to see. God works in different ways sometimes, but within the past year, I had this coach just basically contact me, and we started to meet one-on-one. And through that, he was sharing how he was struggling in his marriage and just struggling with different things going on in his life, just with some things that he was into, and was really far away from God at that point in time. And I was able to just explain to him how God has forgiven him for the things that he's done. And, really just started to see just a transformation in his life. And it really changed the direction of his marriage. I honestly believe they were headed for divorce. And now they're working on their marriage, and things are moving in the right direction. So when we go into a school, life is more about sports. Sports has a huge influence on our culture, and lots of people look at the wins and losses. But when we go in, we're looking at the coach and we're looking at the athlete and saying, what is it about that person? What do they need? How are they hurting? And we really want to minister to the heart of the coach. And if we can get to the coach and we can get to their heart, and we can change their life, it's going to change the way they coach, and it's going to change the way they think about their athletes. A lot of coaches might go into a season just thinking about how they can use that player to win, instead of looking at that player and saying basically the same thing, like, what does that player need? Is he struggling in school? Is he struggling at home? What kind of home life does he have? We want coaches who actually care about more than just wins or losses.
So the fact that you invest in relationships and do life with these people, it's about developing coaches, students to be better in life, not just at sports or not just to be a good Christian athlete, but it's actually just a Christian, just a young man or woman as a whole, because of the investment in relationships, it sounds like. So it's much more than just a club situation. This is a life investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I would love to see 5 years from now, 10 years from now, kids coming back, coaches coming back and saying, hey, my life was changed because of FCA. Not because of what it did for me on the field or in their sport, but what it did for them in life and how they approached life and how they went on. How they were able to become productive members of society, have a family, and have kids. So that, that can be hard to wait for, because a lot, with our society, we want to see an immediate impact.
Sure.
But that's the things that I want to see. I want to see a kid come back and have that.
That's
life.
incredible. What would be the process if somebody would want to get a FCA program at their school and they don't have one now? What might be the process they could go about looking into that?
Yeah, so first of all, obviously contact me, and if you have a coach, or if they would want to be a part of the school and be a part of the huddle, we need them to fill out a ministry leadership application. So that'll give us, we do a background check on them, and that'll give us kind of an idea of who they are, and we'll sit down and have a conversation and see what their involvement wants to be, and then we got to go to the school and basically approach the administration and see if they would be willing to have a huddle or the club in their school, and then finding some coaches and athletes that would want to be a part of FCA. And once we have all those things in place and a place to meet at the school, you can go ahead and get started.
Last thing, do you need to be part of any certain church or denomination to be part of FCA?
No, FCA is non-denominational, so we accept everybody in. Now we do have our set of beliefs that are on the website, and we would like you to, believe in the same things that we believe in. But for the most part, we're non-denominational, and we want everybody to be involved. Our goal is to see coaches and athletes going to church. So we're like I said, we're going to them, and hopefully encouraging them to build their relationship with Christ and find a place to get plugged in.
Awesome. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for what you do. This is such a necessary thing, and the fact that you're impacting kids in the school, right in the school, is amazing. And appreciate your time and all you're doing, and we'll continue to pray for all the efforts that you have, especially now that things have expanded for you.
Yeah.
And even growing even bigger. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity, and appreciate the prayer, because with what God wants to do with FCA, it's going to take a lot of prayer.
Indeed. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
If you know a person or organization impacting our city, we want to hear about it. You can contact us at 814-944-1948 or by email at stories@joyinthecity.org.
Today's Platinum sponsor is Harry's Construction, whose motto is, if you can dream it, we can create it. Recently opening Harry's Construction Kitchen and Bath Center so you, the consumer, can see examples of the variety of services provided by the team at Harry's Construction. Regardless of the project size, Harry's team approaches each project as if it is his own home. Be sure to visit Harry's Construction Kitchen and Bath Center at 114 Main Street in Bellwood. You can also visit their website to see pictures of home improvement projects over the years. Thanks again to Harry Halk and the team for supporting Joy in the City.
It's a pleasure to partner with ABC 23 and Fox 8 to develop the locally produced series around the Alleghenies. As part of that series, Casey O'Day spoke with Michelle Nutter from the Pennsylvania office of the Attorney General concerning cyberbullying. This is an excerpt of that segment.
According to a Pew Research Center study, 59% of U.S. teens have been bullied or harassed online. Additional research shows that adolescents who experience cyberbullying are at an increased risk for several mental health conditions. So, what can be done about cyberbullying? In 2019, the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General hosted a series of Teen Talk roundtables to learn firsthand from high school students about what they're experiencing. Michelle Nutter is the Education and Outreach Program Manager for the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you.
In this age of constantly being connected, constantly on the internet, students face challenges that we never could have dreamed of in our own youth. So talk to us a little bit about that.
It's so true. I mean, I think back to when I was in school many, many years ago. But when we got home from school, we had a safe haven, right? Unless you were unlucky enough to live next door to the person who was bullying you, you had some peace and quiet. Our kiddos today, bullying follows them 24/7, right? So anytime that they are with a device of any kind, that means that there's an opportunity that the person who's targeting them can have access to them.
So the Teen Talk Roundtable sounds very, very interesting. Tell us a little bit of the things that you learned from actual teenagers.
Yeah, so we brought together teens from 13 different districts throughout Pennsylvania in 4 different roundtables and asked them about bullying and cyberbullying and harassment. And they told us a lot. They told us that bullying happens a lot more than is actually reported because for a number of reasons kids might not feel comfortable reporting it. And that it is enhanced by social media, right? So if someone is picking on someone in school, chances are they're also going to be using different social media platforms to continue that harassment.
So are these kids living in fear, and what can we do about this?
Yeah, in some cases, fear. In other cases, it can lead to mental health concerns like anxiety and depression because it's constantly bombarding them. And so it's important that we, as parents, we have communication with our kiddos to find out what's going on and see if there are concerns about this. And within the school setting, similarly, being able to have those open communications to encourage kids to talk to counselors, to talk to teachers if they have concerns.
So advice for students to stay smart. Tell us a little bit about that when using social media.
Yeah, so like there's the stay smart component and the stay safe. So let's talk about smart, right? Think before you post, right? Because a lot of times it's not just the person who's targeted by what's said, but it's the person who says it in the first place. So, just have that little pause before you put something out on social media and think, is this kind? Is it truthful? Is it something that is going to lift someone up or tear them down? And if it's something that's going to be hurtful, don't put it out there.
So you said that stay smart. What is stay safe?
Stay safe. So be careful what you do online, right? Don't give personal information about yourself out to others. Don't talk to strangers that you don't know. Don't take chances with your own personal safety.
COVID-19 has us more connected than ever. Do you have advice for parents and students coping with staying at home?
Yeah, so, have those open lines of communication with your children. Make sure you know what they're doing online. Try to limit screen time as much as you can, and that's hard when they're most likely doing their education in front of a screen right now for many of our kiddos. But think about those non-educational opportunities where instead of being online, maybe play a game as a family or go for a walk or things like that.
Disconnect a little bit.
Yes.
We have a few moments left. Do you have any final words of advice for parents and students who are coping with cyberbullying?
Yeah, well, so if you are experiencing cyberbullying or your child is experiencing cyberbullying, have that conversation to find out exactly what is going on. If it's happening during school or through the online school's learning platform, let the school know what's going on. But also keep in mind that if it is happening outside of the school and you are fearful for your child's safety, that you reach out and report it to local police or through the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General's through the Safe to Say tip line.
Thank you, Michelle. Important words of wisdom. We appreciate it.
To wrap up today's show, Troy Ferguson shares a few final thoughts.
So we've been discussing bullying with a variety of people from many perspectives as it relates to this theme. This will conclude next week as we discuss the effects with clinical counselors as well as youth workers from our community. But today, I want to spend a few moments talking to you about a few thoughts relating to bullying. Are you aware that 1 out of every 5 students report being bullied? Approximately 50% of those who get bullied also become bullies. 70% of the LGBTQ students are verbally bullied. Do you know that being bullied is often the root of abuse, suicide, and things like school shootings? The most commonly reported type of bullying is verbal harassment, which is around 79%. Then we see social harassment, which is around 50%. Physical bullying, which is what we stereotypically think about, that's approximately 29%. And cyberbullying, about 25%. As you can see from a few of these stats, they are staggering. This cannot simply be a boys will be boys approach to things any longer. As a matter of fact, bullying impacts kids, teens, adults, and I've even seen recently it affects those in senior care. It's not something you grow out of as you get older, but it's something that we carry through our entire life. What's unfortunate is bullying is even celebrated to a certain degree nowadays. As a society, we have become so cynical and sarcastic that jokes about someone's appearance or mannerisms are often used as entertainment, as seen on late-night television. The way many in the media refer to people who oppose their political view has become so common that we don't even realize the disrespect that's being demonstrated to our youth and children. I've often said, we see this type of behavior glorified in adults, and then we wonder why our kids are so mean to one another. Just look around you. Now, understand this is not a slam on one particular political party or another, but a recognition that disrespect and bullying is real and painful and a detriment in our community. What's the solution? Jesus. If we in the faith community use Jesus as our filter of what we say, what we don't say, what we do, what we don't do, when to joke, when not to joke, we will see a change in our behavior as well as those around us. Now, I'm not saying that we have to be serious in all situations, but let's be much more Christ-like, especially in our approach to those around us. Be kind, be polite, be respectful. Now more than ever, this is needed in our culture. The stories we've done so far on bullying will be a portion of a larger documentary being developed on this topic. And if you are someone who has been bullied, or even if you are a former bully, even as an adult, I want to talk to you. I want to get your story. Not for the fact of just putting it on television and so forth, but we want to be able to help people who are going through something similar to what you are or what you have. But until then, be kind. Be respectful. And I believe when you show that type of characteristic to those around you, they will show you the same as well.
If you have a personal story or testimony you would be willing to share with our community, we'd love to chat with you about it. Please contact us at 814-944-1948 or by email at stories@jointhecity.org. That's all the time we have today. Thanks for watching Join the City True Stories. Let me encourage you to watch other episodes of people and organizations having an impact in our community on ABC 23 at 5:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. every Sunday. You can also catch us each week on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Until then, be encouraged because God is moving in our city.